Welcome back you guys, and welcome back for the second news daily video today. Now the reason why I'm bringing out a second one is because there are some news updates in regards to Tagliafico, Jeremie, Boga and Bakayoko as well. Now originally I was planning to release a reaction video to Saeed Benrahma. I'm probably going to release that tomorrow instead you guys, because when the news came out in regards to Tagliafico, it told me instantly that I had to release a video and bring it out for you guys, so I do hope you enjoy. Before I kick start with the latest news, I do want to remind you guys that yes, if you are considering buying any club merchandise, use my discount code NINI10 to get 10% off your order. Right now there are massive sales happening. You can get 60% or 50% or 40% off all club items currently right now. This is probably the best opportunity to buy the home kit, the away kit, the third kit, or even training gear that you might need. If you guys are considering any options to buy anything, remember to use my discount code and use my links below in the description to activate them. It seemed like you guys liked the last news daily video, so I'm gonna set the like targets again to 1,500 likes. So if you like today's video, remember to smash that like button. Without wasting no more time, we start with the first story, and it's in regards to the latest update surrounding Tagliafico. Now this story came out from Matt Law from the Telegraph, and it's a very big interesting story. It seems like we finally got the transfer valuation that Ajax want for the player, and that price is set at 22.4 million. That seems unbelievable, absolutely crazy. He costs less than Alex Telles as well, and he costs less than other players that we sign. Like, imagine that we could sign Tagliafico for less money than it costs to bring Zappacosta to this club, you guys. That really tells you the merits to being patient and really just scouring the market and not being so headstrong, just pursuing your first targets every single time. Now, I'll tell you guys that I found Matt's article to be a bit cryptic, and I'll explain to you why near the end of the first story. However, getting into the article and just discussing the main stories, it seems like Lampard is still thinking about Tagliafico, not necessarily confirming with the most conviction that he wants to bring to Stamford Bridge. However, this is where things get a bit cryptic, because number one, Matt does mention Ben Chilwell, and he mentions his valuation being set at over 40 million euros. Now instantly I'm just thinking, okay, there's no way we're going to sign Ben. His price isn't feasible for the player he is. And I think that this is a low-key way of saying that Ben is just completely out the running when it comes to us signing him at left back. The article mentions that he's a player that we have seen before, which falls in line with other Lampard quotes suggesting that Lampard prefers to sign players that he's actually seen. The report also states that Tagliafico prefers a Premier League move to a move to La Liga or Serie A. And this was confirmed by the player himself when he was interviewed by an Argentinian radio station. As Matt also mentions, like the other journalists did covering the story, we have a very strong relationship with Ajax, and I think that really tells us everything we need to know, you guys. I'm going to let you guys know, a lot of times when it comes to guys like Matt or other people that have sources and ties, most times the information that you're hearing, you can't relay it word for word. You can't relay it verbatim. You're only allowed to reveal certain things, and other things you have to keep very cryptic. I kind of saw this article as Matt indirectly revealing that, okay, Tagliafico is the #1 target and he is a player that we're hoping to sign. Again, that's only my subjective opinion. That's how I'm reading the article. And all this together makes me cast my mind back to the quotes that came out from Tagliafico's agent. He said that he's holding talks with clubs over the availability of his client. We've learned our lesson from being too headstrong when it comes to signings. Let's not forget that time when we basically thought we signed Robinho, even allowing the fan base to buy shirts with the player's name behind it, only for that deal to completely collapse. However, I do feel like this article did inadvertently reveal that, okay, maybe Tagliafico is the one, and when we do finally make a bid for him, because again, we haven't placed a bid, we just know the valuation of the player, well, that's going to be news that Chelsea are going to keep to themselves, just like they did with Hakim Ziyech. For me, you guys, I really strongly feel like we are going to sign Tagliafico. I feel like all the stars are aligning. I wouldn't even be surprised if Ziyech really gave him the good word and vouch for the player too. You know, I can just envision Ziyech spraying a cross-field pass on the right-hand side, finding Tagliafico on the left-hand side. You've seen my reaction video, you've seen how many times they play that pass. You know, you can't ignore that type of relationship, you guys. But anyway, how do you guys feel about this? Let me know how you're feeling about Tagliafico. And now we move on to the second story today, and that's in regards to Jeremie Boga and the update in regards to his contract negotiations. Now, this story is brought to you guys by Goal.com by Nazar Kinsella, and I'm going to move to the interesting part of the article. It states here, Chelsea are in advanced talks with Serie A side Sassuolo, which is see them earn an undisclosed one-off fee and exchange their buyback clause to a first option clause instead on a future sale of Jeremie Boga. Now, that alone has so many implications, you guys. It's so interesting to read, and it kind of falls back to a point I made in yesterday's video. Now, all of us were of that belief that we'd probably bring back Boga to then flip him on in this window. But I was of the belief that would that be the best, wisest thing to do. You know, Boga's showing exceptional form and promise, and if he does develop to be an amazing top class player, I don't feel like the club want to make the same mistake they did with guys like De Bruyne, Lukaku and Salah. If you can negotiate in a way which keeps every single party happy and also keeps that door open for any potential signing of the player as well, then of course you're going to do that. A first option clause has so many implications, you guys, and this could really signify that Sassuolo feel confident that they can keep Boga for another season. But before I touch on that point, you guys, let me just go through some other interesting tidbits from the article. The article did mention some of the negotiation terms being discussed, saying here, discussions on video conference calls between two clubs had initially mentioned a 50% sell-on clause for Boga, who is attracting attention from the likes of Napoli and Roma, etc, etc. But instead, Chelsea will now settle for the one-off fee instead. And of course, scrolling down even further, you guys, and you know, another little paragraph that I really like here. It says here, Chelsea had verbally agreed that they were not going to take advantage of the clause to buy Boga in order to either loan him out or sell him on again. The West Londoners will now be given a small fee and will maintain a positive relationship with both the Italian club and Boga himself. And you know, it just really signifies everything I was mentioning in yesterday's video. You know, this for me is the best course of action to take. You know, the reality is, you guys, come the end of the 2021 season, when we're looking at signings for the 21-22 season, you know, who knows what decisions Lampard may make. What if players like your Pulisic, your Hudson-Odois, or other attacking players don't perform how you'd want them to? Of course, we need to have a backup option. And if Jeremie Boga decides to stay one more season with Sassuolo, this puts us in a prime situation where we can exercise our first rights to get an advantage in the negotiations. And of course, by keeping that relationship strong with Sassuolo and Jeremie Boga too, you know, this could really give us that advantage when it came to us ever possibly signing the player. This works out amazing for Sassuolo because when they finally sell the player, they're going to earn so much money from this deal. They've already currently rejected an offer from Napoli for about 17 million to sign the player, and they're saying that they're only going to entertain selling him if clubs can spend over 30 million to sign the player. Now, if you're asking me, you guys, I feel like this Jeremie Boga story isn't over just yet. Anything can happen and we're leaving every single door open. But now, you guys, we now move on to the third story today and the final story, and that's regards to Bakayoko. Now, Bakayoko is definitely a player in demand. He's had interest from Spain, interest from France, and interest again back in Serie A, as AC Milan are now expressing an interest to sign the player. However, news came out today suggesting that West Ham are another club in the running to try and sign him too, and they're actually hoping to potentially sign him on loan. Now, when I read this story, I was quite, confused. I didn't really understand what I was reading. But, knowing this club sometimes, you guys, sometimes we can be a little bit too, I think greedy isn't the right words, but honestly, I can't think of the right word at this point in time. But we know that our valuation for Bakayoko is set at around 35 million. Reports are saying that maybe Paris Saint-Germain may have actually ended their interest in signing him due to that difference in price between both clubs. I'm hoping that's not the case, and I'm hoping that we can negotiate, not be too strict, and reduce the value for the player, because I don't think signing him on loan again is going to help things, and it's not going to leave us in a very good position come the end of the following window if Bakayoko is let out on loan again, because then the price you can get for the player is going to be dramatically lower. Or maybe I'm seeing things wrong, you guys. Let's say if Bakayoko was let out on loan again and performs amazingly well enough that he gets a place in the Euros team, that is dramatically going to improve and increase his transfer value. But is that a bit of a gamble that's just too risky to even attempt? If you can come on between maybe 25 to 30 million for Bakayoko, I say that you have to do that. We can use that money and reinvest it in other key areas in the team. I can't even imagine Bakayoko even entertaining signing for West Ham. That would be a massive step down, and I don't think he's that desperate to be living back in London. Maybe Bakayoko might be thinking, okay, if the club see me playing in the Premier League week in, week out, of one day possibly getting a place in the squad in the future. Potentially, you know, players have their own personal ambitions in themselves. However, I just don't see that being the case. I still think that we need to cash in on the player and sell him, and hopefully we don't price ourselves up by saying unrealistic, you know, ridiculous demands for clubs to pay. But anyway, you guys, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. Tell me how you're feeling after the big news that came out over the past day. You know, it's not often I'm doing double news daily uploads, but today was just that day, you guys. So I hope you really enjoyed. And on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. I'm EFC. This is Blue Lions TV. I'll see you guys later with some more videos.